Guys, welcome back to another episode of Bar Shits and Bullshit. I'm your host, Jay Word, with the lovely Lily Lavender, talking about seen and not forgotten people that show their ass in their work environment, work their place, after they've been drinking at their own location.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's a good or a bad idea to do so.
So I think it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Who wants to go get drunk at their place of work after they've worked there? Like, you're already there long enough, and now you're gonna give them your money too.
I was getting to say I'm not a big fan of giving the place that I just spent all day earning my money, giving it back to them.
Yeah, no.
Which I understand that liking the environment that you work in. A lot of people do. I rather enjoy the people that I work with, so seeing them on a regular basis doesn't faze me.
Yeah.
But keep in mind that your usual clientele always shows up as well.
They do.
So, and I don't like drinking with the people that I serve either. I don't mind it if it's like one or two shots, or if somebody's like offering me a drink, for working or whatever. But like actually letting them see that side of me is not something that like appeals to me.
No, and granted, we've got those friends or those acquaintances that we were hanging out with them first, and then all of a sudden they want to go see you at work, and they become your regulars. You guys,
Well, and that's one. That's different. That's marketing yourself. That's going out of your way to promote your business. So you're building a clientele at that point.
But also, you have to remember that there's certain people who are a lot of fun to go hang out with, but when they tend to start drinking more, they get worse and worse.
They start wild now.
Yeah, and you have to be careful on how you're presenting yourself.
Well, you're representing your own business too. So
exactly.
Like the place where you work, you're the face of them.
Of that business.
There's a lot of local spots around here that I only go if a certain person is bartending.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, when I think of that place, I think of that specific bartender. So it's not at all the location. Hardly ever.
Mm-hmm.
The drinks are usually good, and then if I'm referencing a place for a tourist, I'll let them know what products are good and what they're known for and why they should go there. I mean, I'll know that about those specific businesses. But if I'm making a plan to go down there, it's usually because a specific person is there serving, like giving the service that I expect.
That's true.
And that's the cool part of having regulars, is like you already know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty damn predictable.
So it's really difficult for me to find like my bartender, like the person that I go to all the time. I have one. I only have one, and he's awesome. I love him to death. But I tend to go to places based off the price of the drinks.
Yeah.
So not only do they have to be good, they don't have to be strong, but they have to have the right price.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's our reasons for going to those locations. But at the same time, that's not why we would go back to our location.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because where I work, the drinks are relatively expensive, for sure. So if I'm going there, it's just for the vibe.
Yeah.
It's just, and usually it's just, if I'm drinking at work, like off the clock, then it's just to talk shit about work.
Yeah. We have those.
Yeah.
We have quite a few of those.
Well, we were talking, me and a bunch of friends were talking about it yesterday, about like we should all get together and go drink and all this other stuff. And there was like one or two of them. It's like, I really don't want to think about this place when I'm not here.
Yeah.
And I totally understand that. And that's what happens. You get 8 co-workers all together. You're going to talk about the one thing in common, which is
work.
So, and that was a good, viewpoint. I wouldn't have acknowledged it until we were in the moment, sitting there talking about work. Because that's what we talk about when we're there.
Yeah.
Aside from,
we got a vent.
Yeah, we got a vent, but at the same time, and then we'll try to introduce different conversations for sure, or it'll get dull. But, I think we talked about testosterone and DRT for like an hour with our guests too. Like our guests are like just cracking up, like talking about like people that look like Wolverine, but it's not.
God.
But like fans are starting to shoot out and stuff like that. That's irrelevant conversation. But that's it's definitely good to switch it up. But 9 times out of 10, if we're at work, you're talking about
You're
work.
talking about
And if you're with friends at work, you're talking about work.
Like, I always have my venting period, especially if I had a really long day or a bad day. You know, and we'll all go get together and we'll go have a couple drinks, and I have to get that venting out of me. Mm-hmm. But it's, you know, a short amount of time. Well, so that's why I like going to the other location that we go to on Tuesdays. Like, it's awesome. It's a relaxed atmosphere. It's not that expensive. Granted, the bartender's not that great, but, you know, we usually get something easy, so it's not too bad. And craziness doesn't tend to happen over there when we go there, so, right. You know, it's a different story. But, like, going to your place of work and trying to decompress there, like, how can you?
Not even decompressing. Like, if you go in there just for a good time on your day off, you're firsthand showing that, you know, like, you're firsthand getting all that recognition for the things that you're doing.
Of course.
Especially if your regulars happen to be there while you're drinking, or people that know a friend of a friend of a friend. You're always seen, especially in our area where it's a small town. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows who you are, and everybody's going to be talking about it on like the next.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah. So, I mean, you'll be famous or infamous for the next week or two, but you do lose a clientele base too. Like if you start saying the wrong things, or you start showing your ass in different disrespectful ways, people will remember that shit for a long time.
See, for the most part, when I go out, I tend to uphold a certain amount of professionalism, especially because so many people know me around here. Like, I don't want to get out of line. I don't want them to take something back and say, oh, well, she did this and she said that. And that's not how I want to be remembered. So for the most part, I don't tend to get drunk when I go out, only because I know what I'm representing. Yeah. But there are other people who don't feel that same way because they look at it as, oh, it's just a job, I could care less, you know, things like that. But then that's when you really got to think about it. Like, why are you at that location? Why are you doing what you're doing at that location? Mm-hmm. Maybe you're better suited somewhere else so that you can show your ass the way you want to.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with finding, like, we have our local hotspots that we go, and we may run into some of our clientele base, or like the people that come to see us at our job. But 9 times out of 10 is more employees. Like, it's more people that we know from whether it be from different businesses or different locations. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely people that we see regularly outside of work rather than inside of work. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. And having a place to be able to decompress and show out and play around or whatever. Yeah. It's definitely needed. Well, I think that's necessary for the soul anyway.
I agree.
Which I know a couple people, I think even law enforcement here go all the way to freaking Georgia to go drink because they're not supposed to be within state lines.
That's true.
I mean, don't get me wrong, they drink here, but they're real careful. Uh-huh. So if they do drink in our general area, it's like 1 or 2 shots and they're done. Or if they're drinking at all, most of the time they just kind of show up to be a DD. Yeah. But those same people I'll see like in Tennessee or in Georgia or like in the surrounding states. Yeah. And I don't blame them for that because they have a reputation. And there's nothing worse than being called a hypocrite around here. Even though it's as broad as that word is, it's really, really easy to be perceived as something you're not. Yeah. I mean, for the most part, like corporations, franchises, they have like rules in place for things of this nature. Right. So I guess it really depends. Like I'm a strong believer in if we have those verified up front when you go and get the job at whatever location you're at, that you know what kind of standard you have to be setting in and outside of work. Well, it's like in the casino, they tell you those standards every time. So like if you have social media pages and you discuss different things about work, that's a fireable offense. Yeah. So if you go to the casino, you go to work for them, and you start talking about how it's the worst place ever, or like, oh, we can't make any money because they're not giving any money, or something just off the wall. They'll cane you for that shit. Yeah, they will. I know some people from there that won't be rehireable anymore. Right, just because of their Facebook. Yeah. But that being said, I don't think it's a good look to be putting that crap on your Facebook. It's really not. Or any kind of social media platform. As a business owner, if I owned a this. If you have no problem trashing your last employer, you're going to have no problem trashing mine.
Exactly.
And it usually comes down to just one bad term or one bad statement. Or like, listen, I appreciate that time that you put into this place. He's like, but we can no longer keep you employed. Mm-hmm. That's enough to set some of these people off, and that's not what I would want in my work environment.
And honestly, everyone has their own opinions, and they're allowed to be opinionated. Mm-hmm. You know, I get that. But there's a time and a place for it, and it depends on how you come about it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm biased on both sides. Like, I get needing to work and getting treated the wrong way.
Yeah.
But I've also been a business owner, too. So if I own a business, you're supposed to look at your business best interest, mm-hmm. which 9 times out of 10 is your employment. Mm-hmm. But if the employees itself doesn't just fit, you have to start making moves to readjust to make things work.
Yeah, you do.
And that's the kind of harsh thing about being a sole proprietor or being in an LLC or something like that is you have to acknowledge what's the betterment of your business, mm-hmm. as well as taking care of the people that work with you. Now, there's always going to be that hazy line where you have to pick one or the other, and that's one of the hardest things to do.
It really is.
So,
it is.
Like having to jump those hurdles back and forth, because I have an understanding of both sides. Because there's employees that will say all the time, well, things would be a whole lot better if they would do this, or things would be. You don't know the 30 other hurdles they had to get just to make this a problem.
Yeah.
And I had a boss years ago, and I just came up to him with like laundry list problems, and I wasn't the only one. Uh-huh. And he looked at me, and he was just like the air just let out of him. He's just so freaking exhausted by all the scenarios. Mm-hmm. He said, "I would just wish once somebody would give me a problem." And then give me a solution to the problem.
Oh, God.
And I started laughing. I was like, I can do that. And like every time I give him a problem, I'll be like, listen, here's what's going on. I'm going to take care of it by doing this. I just need you to let me know it's okay to do this.
Yeah.
And our relationship, like employee to boss relationship, got so much stronger because of that.
That's true.
But that's far and few between.
I know. There's some things that owners and managers they can just let slip by because they're looking at it from the bigger picture. Like, what are things that they're easily going to accept and they can just completely bypass because, for the most part, everything is great. Mm-hmm. You know, everyone's working well together. Everyone's doing everything great together. So, for the most part, like, as long as everybody's getting along, you'll have those few that will create hostility in the environment. But, at the same time, that's why a lot of employees get together after work to go and vent and release and whatever. But they do it away from work.
Yeah.
That's the catch.
Well, the problem is, one of the bigger problems is with our area is there's nowhere to go.
No, there really isn't. It's small.
Especially if you work, like at our casino specifically, you can't drink there, you can't gamble there, you can't do anything if you work there, if you're a part of it.
Yeah.
So, which is not a big deal to me, but at 2 o'clock in the morning, and so when I worked security there, years and years and years ago, you were allowed to drink there. Uh-huh. So it was nothing for us to get off at like 8 o'clock in the morning because we did the night shift.
Yeah.
We get off at 8, we'd go drink for the next 2 hours because that's our nighttime.
That's true.
And then go home. You can't do that anywhere other than there. You can't go and drink. There's not a bar in our area that stays open 24 hours, which and they don't do here. They have legal drinking hours, which is that gap from 2 to 8 every single day or every single night. So from 2 in the morning to 8 is the only time you can't serve alcohol. Mm-hmm. But like between most night shifts, you're getting off by a certain time. You still could be able to go drink or have a good time somewhere else. But now that's just not available.
No.
But I understand why they do that. It caused so much problems for people that were drinking there, and people were. That shit went freaking wild for a while. Like people were hooking up with their client base, and people were talking with them, and then they were getting fights with random guests that were coming in there. So inevitably, putting themselves in that situation caused the reason why employees not allowed to fraternize there.
And a lot of times, people were doing it for money.
Oh yeah.
And that's just hard to get past right there because you're just making the entire business just look bad.
Yeah, well, like I said, you're the ones they see every single day.
or hear about, and you can only take so much of that.
Well, and it's so hard to keep a good reputation at work already. When people go out of their way to come see, and it happens at my job all the time. People come specifically to see one specific bartender, one specific server, and they'll request them. They'll put it in the books and like in their reservations and everything, and they'll make it a point. And they have that real good solid relationship with them. If that same person was to go into that place of business and start just wrecking everything within the client base, that's money out of their pocket. Not only that, that's businesses out of my business, out of the place I work for. So that's just the overall picture. As bad as it sucks, you can't just go out and just raise hell at the place you work.
No. Yeah, you should seriously go to another state to go raise hell.
Which, I mean, I've gotten drunk and I've showed my ass. Me showing my ass is a little different. It's like I don't get loud, wild. I don't dance well, but I try. and that's always, and it always finds its way on social media somewhere along the line. And like if I'm wilding out, I'm usually at home or like at a house party.
That's a little better than going out in public to, a bar or a restaurant and doing that.
Still find videos of it.
Oh, good Lord.
Like in the same video of my own home, like still find random video of me singing karaoke, which I don't do.
Oh, man.
Or dancing, which I don't do.
But I seriously don't. I think there should be a line drawn somewhere at a place of employment about employees.
Well, and as bad as it sucks, just if you're bartending for this person specifically, just kind of keep that in mind. Like, and I have no problem. I've never had a problem like looking at one of my buddies and be like, "Listen, bud, like you're kind of getting out of it. I'm gonna slow you down. Like I do it because I love you, but I want you to come back to work tomorrow." And most people are really, really, really cool about that. For the most part. But there are those every once in a while that are just like, they're like, "Oh, I know my limits," and they're already drooling on the table. And still fighting for the next one. I'm just like, I'm not gonna be able to get fired, so like somebody else can say it. But word to the wise, let's try to keep from showing our ass at our places of business, or anywhere for that matter. I mean, we're all grown adults, or trying to be anyway, working on it, step-by-step program.
Know your limits.
We
always discuss that.
And try to keep yourself under control out there, guys. Thank you so much for listening in. Until next time.